Welcome to Roboschaf. Yes, the testing season is coming to an end. And as you can see behind me, this picture is actually put together for the autumn photo shoot. I'm using this picture as a reason for a summary. We're going to go through the essential lawn mowers that are available on the market now. Nice and crisp. Just a brief summary of the 2024 testing season after a total of 2,800 hours of testing at the testing grounds in Grabenwald, and of course also at the steep slope testing grounds in Ligist. It was an incredible testing season. All of these robots have been put through their paces, and we really examined them thoroughly. You've seen a lot of that on the YouTube channel. Not everything, because we can't show everything. And at the risk of repeating myself every year, it has been the most successful year ever for Roboschaf. It has always been that way so far, that I'm repeating myself like every year for Roboschaf. It has been the most successful year ever. That has always been the case so far, but now a little bit more. This year we will welcome new franchise partners from the riding of the motorcyclists. In fact, more major motorcyclists will be joining our system next year. That's one thing. On the other hand, dear newcomers, dear robot enthusiasts, we've brought in a large number of newcomers this year, and here we're looking for the best minds out there. And the best minds will then, and this is where it starts now, during a little YouTube break, the training season at the testing grounds, because all these experiences you see behind me, some of which you also get from me on YouTube, they will be entered into a digital tool, and that means all these insights land unfiltered. So, everything that you obviously can't say on YouTube, at your property, during a consultation appointment. And exactly for that, is our partner capable? Yes, speaking of the YouTube break, it will actually be very short, with the opportunity to train all our new partners here in the coming weeks. And after that, I want to dive into the details specifically for specialty retailers with our expert videos. We will be broadcasting from the studio all winter long, having conversations with many from the industry who visited me here at the studio this year, where Stihl belongs, where Solo belongs, and we will actually process the test results behind me, because this image now represents a few essential statements. Yes, the now essential, or perhaps the most essential statement is actually, dear people, dear customers, dear specialty retailers, it has never been so hard to miss the mark. I say this every time, but now it's really true. Most of what's back there is cordless, and yet he is in pole position. This is simply about a topic that is becoming increasingly important, and that is sustainability. This year has once again shown how important it is to have a corresponding service network behind the lawn robot. Once, for you customers, so that you all can repair the thing. How long do you want to have a lawn robot in use? I'll answer the question myself, but I would say at least 10 years and more. For that you need winter service, and you need some repairs for each model. Yes, and ultimately, you can see the hasty market entry with a huge bang. You remember Cress and the RTKN situation from Dongao? And you all know what's left of it now. None of them can be seen in the picture. Says a lot. It happened so quickly. And you look at it now as a specialty retailer and also as a customer. If you've chosen the wrong robot, you're just not satisfied. And two things are involved. First, it all has to work reliably. And secondly, there needs to be sustainability to operate the thing affordably. For 10 years. And in this question, we will also dive very deep for you customers during the winter. Yes, let's dive right in with a metaphor. The diversification of customer demands. Are you a customer who wants to play around with the app? Someone who can forgive an error message? Some spots are not mowed perfectly. For him, a Segway as it stands in front of me, definitely a good choice. A great app, really easy to program, and stability is just a bit worse. This is definitely not a specialty retail product, because a customer of a specialist dealer expects stability. The misery should be, if possible, it should be mowed I don't want to clean the camera every day. I don't want to save the robot, and I don't want any lawn damage. And on an app, I want at most one error message. But the demand that I have to constantly do something, from the software update to who knows where, as a specialist dealer, I'm not interested in that. And there remains the king of stability and lawn quality, an ancient 632p from Stihl, which is no longer available in full, a tuning variant. And indeed, it does the job here on this top lawn when there's no test operation. And that says a lot about the current situation. Dear customers, please ask yourselves what you want. A high-end toy that is definitely fun, or a stability that mows the lawn for you without you having to do anything all year round. And dear YouTube friends on the channel, please leave your comments. We don't have nice weather and no dry gas in the fall. That's exactly reserved for a toy, letting the robot run in that 100% time window, where it doesn't get dirty, doesn't get clogged, and doesn't cause any problems. Yes, as I mentioned after my visit to the Galabau, conventional manufacturers are under pressure, first and foremost Husqvarna, and you could see that at the booth. They obviously held back the new products for the Galabau. Now they are presented and they don't really knock your socks off. We have a stable lawn robot, the 550 EPOS and 520 EPOS in the wireless world, a mediocre performance. Husqvarna has designed the robot for large areas, designed for large areas and not for complex private gardens. Accordingly, they forego correction mechanisms that would allow the wireless system to run flawlessly. And in terms of pricing, you're in a league where you can no longer really talk about cost leadership. Husqvarna will have to come up with something. Nevertheless, we do have very high wireless stability with Husqvarna's EPOS systems. Even if you don't, more belongs to the state of the art. A beautiful symbol of this is, of course, the 535X. The 535X all-wheel drive, especially in the top version we have here, has an unbelievable performance on the lawn. In cables. It will be available wirelessly next year with an EPOS system and is undoubtedly suited for specific applications that go completely to the limit. Then, probably the best choice. So the slopes, my own steep slope test area, will be operated wirelessly with a 535X RBD. Next year it will definitely be in operation, but for most properties, the question now is whether you can actually be in a range of 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 euros, or whether you can achieve a similar or the same performance in the all-wheel drive world with much less money. Will it be a focus next year? Are all the alternatives to the 535X now appearing on the market? And those that operate with the same reliability Let's quickly jump ahead in the picture to summarize the topic of Husqvarna with all its models. Quarantine, edge cut. It's available in hybrid, meaning both wired and with EPOS. You all know my video about it. Unfortunately, that hasn't changed much. The Nera chassis is designed to be very low. It needs a clear surface. Of course, at Husqvarna, they try to adhere to the lawn robot standards. And unfortunately, it is becoming increasingly clear that strict adherence suddenly actually leads to losses. In terms of performance, here you really have to think about it. If there are more intelligent approaches, but first you really have to be careful. Especially with a small chassis like the Edge Cut, you want to have a beautiful surface. He will be tested next year on the YouTube channel with the EPOS module. And we will take a closer look at the Edge Cut function in EPOS. Nevertheless, we have a robot there, which is quite good, but where you really have to assess the terrain very specifically so that it really works like we imagine it to, as we imagine it. Back to the world of performance and limitless power. Of course, the models from Zucchetti, specifically with Ambrogio, continue to stand for that. In the foreground, you can see the AWD all-wheel technology, also depicted back there on the stone. The large all-wheel machines from Ambrogio deliver an unimaginable performance on the lawns. And one of my favorite things is right in front of me. This is a wired 436 without all-wheel drive. For example, it runs at my neighbor's place, needing no intervention at all throughout the year. No blade change, no cleaning, and it magically mows. Even for weekend houses. Unbelievable. Without a doubt, it's an expensive solution, but one with endless performance. The major weaknesses of Ambrogio have manifested this year. It's simply the app, it's the software, it's the operation of the robot. You have the best hardware of all time from Italy, and dealing with the topic of software, app control and operation is just difficult. And unfortunately, that causes us difficulties in the wireless world. Basically, the one in front and the one in the back are RTK machines. You can see that on the sensor board in the front. In terms of RTK operation wirelessly, we're still a bit far off with a red shoe. However, with the cables, we have a hybrid operation with the tracks absolutely under control. Anyone who wants something like that, of course, has high standards when it comes to lawn quality. In terms of stability, in terms of hardware, the best of all worlds on your property. It will still take a little while to be completely wireless. Nothing has been as emotional this year with the comments on the YouTube channel as my coverage of the two Lubas here. Mammotion has actually succeeded, and we have to congratulate them for building a community in such a short time, which is roughly equivalent to Tesla. In terms of the robot itself, we've moved from the Luba 1 to the Luba 2. The Luba 1 is actually the robot with a pure RTK system. The one that is capable of mowing the Schilcherleiten alongside the 535 X AWD from Husqvarna, or to mow the Schilcherleiten. He can't do it anymore. Omnidirectional wheels have been introduced to reduce damage during turning movements. Of course, this is also due to the fact that the concept of this remote-controlled car has led to such high sales, that the robot is increasingly small winding properties. It's being put to use. That wasn't actually what the concept was meant for. That should solve it here. We now have a mix of neither fish nor meat. I would say here, when I speculated at the beginning of the year, the omnidirectional wheels are actually a setback in stability. As for the slope driving, RTK is not sufficient for complex properties. We already know that there are two ways to balance the whole issue. One's called odometry or sensor fusion. Let's get to the other model, or the use of a camera like with the Luva 2. The camera now complements the so-called blind spots, the RTK system, and this creates truly impressive functions that simply come with a performance. The camera now complements the so-called blind spots, the RTK system, and this creates truly impressive functions that simply come with a performance that you can hardly implement without a camera. Of course, with all the other problems that a camera brings with it, that we've been talking about for a long time, which are mainly data protection and pollution. Yes, but there's a completely different problem. A problem in sustainability. And here Mammotion will have to do something very quickly. Because it is not acceptable that a 3,000 euro robot is actually not repairable or only very difficult to repair in the DIY scene. That makes it difficult. And above all, he's really going to get it next year. Competition. There are systems coming onto the market that can perform just as well technically. But the professional lawn mowers have a classic design and are repairable. You can also expect something regarding the Luba. An exciting year, and I really hope that we won't suffer a similar fate as Cress RTKN. Sensor fishing and odometry. So who actually wants to do without a camera? What's coming more to the market, or what's matured? What's actually happening in the camera-less wireless RTK navigation sets new standards. With this wireless concept, you can easily achieve everything in terms of stability to overshadow what has existed so far. We will also take a look at some things in the winter in the expert videos. Even though I'm talking about a very difficult installation here, it brings us to the fundamental wireless systems. Yes, my dear, that is also a certainty. Wireless lawnmower systems, more complex, more difficult to install, and require more know-how than their wired counterparts. If you want to have stability, without a camera, we see the benchmark in the world of wireless lawnmowers. And anyone who wants to know a bit more about it, I'll show you the last video. One where it actually is about him. Stihl iMow Evo. Its voice control is a really exciting operating concept. It's a wired lawnmower. Unfortunately, as we have reported many times, Stihl has done away with the great reel mower and used, now like all the others, a blade mowing system. And on top of that, due to the difficult geometry of the robot, only a very small number of properties are actually suitable for it. There, it delivers an incredible performance. Anyone who wants the One X5 Evo needs comprehensive advice for the property, because it's really important to first execute the installation perfectly. Secondly, to choose the property correctly, because it does what it can do well, but it can't do everything. Let's stick with the cables. We've delivered it 1,000 times this year, and that with a warranty rate of under 1%. Something like this has never existed before. The RS Pro 2, RS Pro 3. The concept with Solo at Alco is designed for maximum sustainability. The robot is cheaper, in a 10-year perspective. Cheaper, I would say. Like every €1,000 more hardware store robot, the design is made in such a way that you can repair it quickly and efficiently, that you use components. Very few components are used that can break, and that you can actually achieve sustainability over 10 years and many more. Like there definitely aren't any on the market. And on top of that, it has made a software leap. It has been done. In winter, we will take a deeper look at the Solo Pro 2 and Pro 3. With the new software variants, it enters a whole new dimension. And anyone who knows my test area at the testing grounds, we will combine two areas. We will have 4 narrow strips of up to 10 meters, 2 main areas, and 2 droplet-shaped areas with robot. Mowing without leaving traces. This is a one-of-a-kind, and on top of that, at the 10-year cost of a hardware store robot for around €1,000. As you know, he is, as a special model, Pro 2 and Pro 3, available only at Roboschaf and with our partners, so it's exclusive to our group. The reason is quite simple. Because we go much deeper into the configuration, which naturally requires more training and a more specialized education. To achieve this sustainability for you, the concept is so successful that it will definitely set a trend, and that several manufacturers will follow this approach, namely the approach of providing you with a reliable racial robot system over a period of 10 years. That saves you money and nerves in the end and brings satisfaction with little effort, bringing money where it should actually be for robotic lawn mowers. Yes, how did I used to say at Luba? It's getting tight. And the reason it's getting tight, it's actually right here. This is an all-wheel drive model, as I mentioned in my last video. Behind this is a manufacturer that has been building for all other lawn mowers for many, many years. And now with artificial intelligence and camera navigation, wireless lawnmower navigation actually sets all new standards. The big difference is this thing is serviceable, repairable, and will likely open up new dimensions in terms of cost and sustainability. Even at the risk of saying it too early, it's just still too soon. It also has weaknesses, and please don't just rush out and buy it right away, because there's still a lot to be done. But we will be dealing with this quite intensively next year. As you can see, the world of lawnmowers remains turbulent. One thing is for sure, with a consultation at Roboschaf and a consultation appointment, with us you're on the safe side and you get this overview actually delivered right to your property. Don't take my recommendation lightly when it comes to buying something, and I invite everyone who's more interested in lawn mowers to check out our franchise system. Bye. See you hopefully in the next video. Check out our franchise system. Bye. See you, and hopefully until the next video. I'm happy